We've often heard the term, trust the process, right? But what if the process doesn't know that we're trusting it? And what if just trusting the process isn't enough? Well, I know you've often had this dilemma in your mind. Maybe it was a moment of self-doubt when you thought about this. Or maybe it was an incredible day when something you were wishing for so deeply finally happened and it came to life. Or maybe it was a random day when you were sitting with your friends, having a cup of coffee in a cafe, and talking about life in general. If you've never thought about it, let me ask you this. How do we continue to genuinely trust the process when we don't have an answer to the second bit? Well, I'll be honest, I have often thought about this question. And I don't have the perfect answer or the perfect response to it, but I've realized something over time. Maybe what we need to do is something really simple. Trusting the process, yes, but building that process and that path as we work on it. And yes, that path, it is going to be complicated, confusing, nerve-wracking, weird, overwhelming. But building that process and that path, step by step, moment by moment, experience by experience, learning by learning, with intention and with deep focus. Because the truth is that process is never going to be linear, just like the knight's path. A knight does not move forward in a straight line, it moves sideways unexpectedly. Yet, every step it takes it one step closer to where it needs to be. When we realize that, something shifts, right? Because now we make that intentional choice to continue forward, to build things on the sidelines, to experiment, to explore, to interact with people, to take those small strategic efforts, or maybe just to take a pause and take a break. That's no longer trusting the process alone. It's a combination of trusting while being more intentional, more active. Almost contrasting, isn't it? Right? But I think the irony, the contrast, that makes all the difference. It's that irony, it's the contrast, or maybe it's just about finding the right balance between them that makes all the difference. Growing up, I was a massive introvert. Conscious about talking to people, nervous about being on stages, constantly overthinking and asking myself, why am I doing this? And it wasn't as if I was nervous about talking. It was more about the fear, the overwhelm, the uncomfortable feeling that came with it. But then things started to change. Because I realized I kind of need to challenge myself, push myself out of this circle, and I need to experiment more. And that did lead to a lot of change. It led to more interactions, more conversations, more work-related events, more personal development, all of it. But that wasn't a straight or a linear path as well. Because some days I was so confident, I was chatting with everyone, I was the life of the party. And at others, I was sitting in a corner, overthinking every word yet again. I still remember the first networking event I went to, and I'm laughing about it because it's a fun but very meaningful memory. The first networking event I went to, I was super confident I'm going to interact with everyone, and I was really looking forward to learning more about their journeys and, to network, essentially. I reached the event, and I talked to no one at all. I was at that event for 2 hours, and I came back home having had 0 conversations in total. Trust me, the process isn't linear. Real growth, it's fragmented, it's overlapping, it's extremely messy, but if there's one thing I've learned along the way, is trust the process, but build it intentionally. Because despite that first experience, I went on to interact with so many people, collaborate on some incredible projects, connect with like-minded individuals, get access to some incredible mentors, be a part of online and offline events, across boundaries, and so much more. That introverted young girl, she went on to speak and be a part of 100+ events. And she now works to break the ice around stigmas as well. I still vividly remember the day that I overheard a conversation between my mom and my domestic help. My domestic help, she'd had her periods at our place, and she was very uncomfortable asking for pads. And in a very hushed, hesitant tone, she was trying to convey it to my mom. And I had happened to overhear that whisper of a conversation. And that was the moment that made me realize we must do something about this. Periods, menstruation, it is such a natural process. And it deserves truthful, honest, simple conversation. And we must do something about this. And that's a conversation I had with my mom as well. How do we make sure that we break the stigma and we make sure that conversations like these are as normal as it can be? And that led me to starting an initiative that works on literally breaking the ice about conversations that matter, but often get ignored simply because they are pushed under the carpet of ignorance of being stigmas. That's been the journey, the unconventional, unimagined, yet intentional journey. And when I look back now, I see a very clear pattern. Every meaningful shift in my life, it has started with 3 simple words. IDK. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't know how I'll get there, but I know I will. I don't know, and that's why I'm open to learning it. Because a lot of times, that I don't know, that's the beginning of a growth journey, of learning, of unlearning, and eventually and hopefully of mastering. But over time, that IDK also took a very deeper meaning for me personally. IDK. Intention, discover, keep at it. Setting the intent and embracing the courage to say, I don't know, when we don't have all the answers, because here we also need to break the stigma around knowing all the answers all the time. And because that IDK, that's the first step to saying, I want to get to know myself because maybe I don't know all of it. Then comes discover, questioning the existing patterns, being curious, finding newer, innovative paths to learning more, understanding more, and experimenting more. And finally, keep at it. Keep going, persevere, continue and learn along the way, but at every step, trust the process. Because that brings me back to the core, trust the process, but build it intentionally. Many a times, both of them together is what helps us to continue forward, to find that clarity in chaos, to move from that fear, the judgment, the noise, to learning, to experimentation, to saying, I don't know how I'll get there, but I know I will. Because that brings me back to the night's path as well. Sometimes the sideway moves, they matter just as much as the forward ones. Sometimes the non-obvious choices, they make all the difference, even if we are nervous in that moment. Because trusting the process, it's inseparable from accepting that we don't know all the answers, but still continuing forward and figuring it out one step at a time. So while I conclude our conversation today, let me take you back to my first question. But what if the process doesn't know that we are trusting it? Well, maybe the process only works when we move with intention, with curiosity, and with small steps. So let's build that trust. Yeah, together? Thank you very much.